Hello and welcome to the Sable Society. I'm Marie Buskey, and the Sable Society is the place where all sables can gather and get together. Sable, of course, stands for stash acquired beyond a life expectancy. And believe me, I am a sable. Hello, my name is Marie, and welcome along if you're a sable too, or even an aspiring sable. No judgment here. This is a place where I have been able to reconnect with everybody after, as you know, several months away. Well, those who followed me over with the Skeins Diaries. I'm back now with the Sable Society, and it's just really an outlet for the musings that I have regards knitting, having left the industry, as it were, and just concentrating on the event that I run every year called Knit August Nights. Knit August Nights is held in Napier, New Zealand, and it is 2009. 2009, I started it. Registrations are open now. And things are ticking along beautifully. We've got a fantastic quorum of knitters coming last weekend in August. So it is not too late. If you would like to book and have a weekend away in our beautiful historic Ahuriri in Napier, now is the time. Don't waste it. Air New Zealand have just posted a sale, a massive sale. So this is the perfect time. Get those fingers doing the walking and book yourself a ticket here to Napier for that final weekend in August. knitaugustnights.co.nz is where you will find all the details of the classes. You can get a link there to the registration page and get yourself booked up. Just do it. Do it, I say, and come and visit us. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was refunding your knitting mojo. My mojo went on holiday last year, and in fact, I knit very, very little last year. I completed quite a significant piece over the previous summer, which was the Field cardigan by Camilla Vlad. And if anyone's knitted that, you'll know that particularly the top half of the cardigan requires time and patience. I finished that and then just really struggled to knit things after that. I only really knocked out a handful of projects, and pretty much all of them were for work in one form or another. One of the things I did do was design a couple of cowls, and one of those cowls was this bad boy here, which is the Harding Road cowl. Harding Road is named for the road that actually just runs parallel to my street here in Ahuriri, which runs along the waterfront. And I love cowls. We've got two dogs. We walk the dogs along there all the time, most days. And I find a cowl is perfect for just popping around your neck, throwing a jacket on, and it's not too bulky. So it keeps everything nice and warm. And, and it's quite a way to make a statement with colour. This little slip stitch tessellating three colour pattern is a form of mosaic knitting. So literally just slip stitch knitting. You're only knitting two rounds or two rows with one colour at any given time. So it's super easy. This cowl pattern is free, available on Ravelry. So if you go to my Ravelry page, Marie Buskey, you'll find this cowl for free, and it's just fantastic. So I had set aside some Gaia from Skeins, and I mentioned this in the previous episode. At the time when I was in Skeins, I think Gaia is one of the most amazing yarns that we'd made in many years. If you were very lucky, this past weekend, Skeins has had a huge big Gaia colour clearance. So you might have snapped some up. And I had literally a handful of balls of these to make one of these cowls because I just knew that it would be perfect. So there it is. I made it. But I had some left over, so I'll throw this on. So I thought, well, what does a girl do? She's got, there we go. So look at that. Oh, lovely. I had some left over. What does a girl do? So I thought, well, I'm out walking the dog. I will make some mitts. Now, I will admit I haven't sewn these up yet because I've been a bit lazy. But these, so I literally just, these two little rectangles here, no, they're not swatches, but they could be swatches if they wanted to. These are going to be little fingerless mitts. And these ones here, yes, there we go. So I've measured out where they're going to go. I will literally sew those up and bada bing, bada bang. These will basically be like little fingerless hand warmers. I've got that round the wrong way, that way round. So I thought, oh, I'll be very coordinated because I had left over. So it'd be silly not to, right? If you've got stuff left over. But then I still had more left over. And I thought, gosh. And then as I went diving around in the bottom of the bag, I actually found that I had an extra ball of the grey. So I had a single ball of the green and did I have a single? No, I had 2 balls of the green, 2 balls of the grey, and 2 balls of the light green. I thought I only had one and one grey, but in fact I had 2 of the greys. So then I knocked this bad boy out. Now, this is a variant, and as you can see, there's that tessellating pattern here. This is a variant of the Harding Road hat, which if you again go to my design page, you'll see the Harding Road hat there. That pattern is for free. You could download it. I couldn't be, this is me. I was lazy. I could not be asked going through and downloading my own pattern. It had been years since I'd made one of those suckers. But I do know basic hat maths for a beanie because I've knitted so many beanies over the years. So this is the thing. If you're wanting to do this, beanies are great. Okay, if you want to knit something impromptu or design your own hat or play around with colour, texture, what have you, hats, beanies, best thing ever. You can learn to do that at Knit August Nights because we've got a do-it-yourself hat design class with Lisa Craig from Lisa F. There are still a handful of spaces left. So if you want to learn how to do everything that I'm telling you, you need to go and take that class. So anyway, I had some left over and I thought, well, I'm going to knock out a beanie. And if I've got another whole ball of grey, that means that I'll be able to do it because this tessellating pattern just needs a multiple of 4. So I thought, I'm going to knock that out. So I did. So I knocked it out. So there's my beanie. Oh gosh, probably let's actually move it that way because that's where there we go. So there's my beanie. Knocked that out. I'm feeling very coordinated. Look at that. Woohoo! Feeling fantastically coordinated. So I was absolutely delighted with that. This beanie's great because it's got a little bit of slouch there. A little bit, but not too much. Love it. And this is just a standard beanie, which I think as I said, the Harding Road beanie is for free. I've knitted this one in the round. Now, the golden ratio, if you're looking for making adult beanies, and this is what I find anyway, is that I find this one I've just done 120 all the way through and just smaller needles for the brim. But to be brutally honest, I thought, I need to test this again. So I made another one. Because that's what you do, isn't it? When you think, that's really great, but I think the brim could be better. So I made another one, and here it is. And with this one, I had some leftover, some Cove, which if you've tried the Cove from Skeins, gorgeous, recycled blend. So that Cove was called Smuggler's Den. Then the purple that's in there is the Rosewell, which is the Highlander Heathers. You may remember I did what did I knit in that? I knitted something that was at Skeins in that. Can't remember. It was at the time. So there's the Rosewell there. And then this is some of the incognito that we had a year or two ago. And I thought, those two look together. So what I did there, and as you can see, slightly better fit. I did 116 stitches for the brim. Last row of the rib, I added 4 more stitches in to get me 120 here. Now, you heard me say before that this tessellating pattern requires a multiple of 4. So you're probably saying, well, Marie, you could have just kept it at 116 stitches. And I'm going to tell you what happens when you do that. But ultimately, 120 is just the perfect number for shaping a crown. And so you shape your crown. And then you're able to, when you're shaping your crown, start shaping your crown in the round by knitting 10, knit 2 together, and then that's the perfect number to do a round. And then you knit around and then you reduce again by 1 less stitch and you get this beautifully shaped crown, which I'll show you with that one. Oopsie. There, can you see that? You can see that shaping there, can't you? Yeah, you get this lovely shaped crown. But then what happens is, of course, you get so excited, you finish this one, you block it, you block the Gaia, and you're on a roll. Your mojo, which had deserted you months previously, nearly a year previously, had gone on hiatus, never to be seen again. suddenly, within a week, comes back with a vengeance because you're knitting things and you're completing things and it gets excited and it wants more. It is like, a crack addict looking for its next fix. It wants to cast on the next thing. Hello, Mojo, where have you been? My name is Marie. Hi, Mojo, nice to have you back. So you get so excited. And in my case, you might have had a glass or two of Chardonnay when you'd finished all this, ensemble. And then you start digging around and you think, what else have I got lurking in my stash? So then you find these. Oh, look at those colours. Now, before you think, why on earth are you knitting those, Marie? This is hence the reason for those colours, which of course is now, these are the corporate colours for the day job. So I thought, well, I've got to go and do some away from home work for the day job. I'm going to knit a beanie for the day job so I can wear this when I'm out and about with that. That would be fun. Happen to have had the colours set aside. These are, if anyone, some of you may recognise this from way back in days of old, this is Urban Deluxe. So for those old Skeins followers, you will be having a nostalgic moment in your stashes. I know you will. Urban Deluxe was just a bog standard wool machine washable DK that we did at Skeins for years. And when we introduced Flight, which was the merino that we bought in, it phased out what was then Urban Deluxe. But this is made from I had one single ball each of the original Urban Deluxe sample colours, because this is what happens when you're forced to clean out your stuff and come home after 18 years. I'm going to talk about that in a second. 18 years, the things that you have in your office. And this was in the office. So I thought, oh, that's the corporate colours for the new day job. I'm going to hold on to these. So I got excited. So I cast on my 116 down there. Chardonnay may have been involved and I forgot to add the extra 4 stitches. So I merrily did my tessellation because of course it worked on 116, got to do the crown shaping and then suddenly realised it did not working. It's not working because I have the wrong number of stitches. So I'm then left with a conundrum. What do I do? Do I add stitches in this portion here to make it up to 120, so increase it by 4 only to decrease it, which would kind of look slightly funny? What do I do? What you do, my darlings, is that and I'll show you probably here, you'll see it better. What you do is you stagger your decreasing. So you do your first decrease round minus with 4 less crown shapings. So you've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 crown shapings. So in your first go round on the crown, you only do 6, leaving gaps in between. And then your next go round, you do 10, and you just sort of work the maths out from there. And then by the time you go to your next go round, then it will actually work. I did wait until one had stopped consuming wine because then, of course, one had gotten grumpy that had happened. But that's all right. We got there in the end. This has not been blocked yet, which is why it's still looking a little bit hubbly-bubbly. But this is what this one is. So I got this completed. Well, no sooner I'd finished this bad boy and I still had yarn left. And by this stage, Mojo's back. She's flogging this dead dog. She's excited. Mojo is excited. Mojo hasn't been let out of her cage for so long. She's just like, we're on a roll now. And no yarn is going to be left behind because we don't like wasted yarn. Which then leads you to the project that I have now. So, of course, I didn't have enough yarn to complete an entire beanie like that because it generally takes... because obviously you've got 3 colours. If you're using a main colour where you're using the same main colour all the way through for rim to tip, you're using most of a ball for the beanies. So probably 3/4 of a standard 50 gram ball with about 1/3 of a ball for the other 2 contrasting colours. But I knew I had enough to do some coloured patterns. Now, the 3rd colour in the corporate colours in the day job is black. So I thought to myself, surely I must have a black ball somewhere. And I did. This was black pearl, and you can see the little bit of the shine in there is some silk. And again, those who are long-term skeins customers who have their sable stash sitting there will be going, oh, because they'll be remembering that well. That was called Barbosa. That was, I think, the original black pearl run. So here we go. There is beanie number 2. So that's on the needles as we speak. This time around, I did remember to add the extra 4 stitches. And this is going to be good because I'm knitting this for my colleague that I'm doing. Unfortunately, he won't watch this, so he won't know. I'm knitting this for my colleague that we've got to go and do this work stuff with. So we're going to be roaming around the countryside for our work over the next couple of months wearing his and hers. Tragic, I know, but it's fun. And I know that I've got a couple of other colleagues that are die-hard knitters. This is a neat thing. I've got knitters in this new job. So Liz, I can feel you laughing from here with this one. So there we go. So this is what I'm knitting for him. And I tell you what, I'm having an absolute ball. I cannot tell you how long it has been since I have knitted and I'm doing my other work and I'm thinking, oh, I've got 10 minutes. I can bang a couple of rounds out in 10 minutes. Do you know, just to have that joy back. Do you guys ever get like that? Do you ever get like that? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you ever get that way, because I know that I've missed it. And it was the whole reason why I got in the industry in the first place, because I loved it. And it is so nice to actually have that love back. Wow. So good. So good. So this is where I'm at to right now. But wait, there's more. Now I have got another plan I have got another project that I want to knit. For Knit August Nights. That project has been decided, but I can't let you know what it is just in case there is a reason behind it, and those that know will know. But I'm just waiting for the yarn for that project. I've got half the yarn that I need. The other half of the yarn is going to arrive, and it's going to be yarn that I'm going to have at Knit August Nights and be selling, so you'll be able to get hold of that. So as I mentioned before, my final, because I was at Skeins for 18 years. 18 years, a long time, right? Well, I created Skeins in that time, the most incredible team across there. So anyway, moving out of a job that you've had for 18 years is a little bit like moving house. And believe me, I mean, complete with furniture. So I have to say, Claire and the team are the most tolerant, crew over there, because it's taken me many months to extricate all my stuff from out of there and allow them to have the clean slate that they need to go in the direction that they choose to go in. So final furniture's been picked up I've had furniture picked up from the auction house, stuff given away to friends, and of course, like a true addict, we hide things, don't we? How many of you have got stash hidden in places that you didn't think you'd hide stash? That was me. So here at home, I know where my stash is. I've got it pretty much jam-packed in a couple of cupboards, and that's actually one of my next cleaning jobs when I find some time, is to actually go in and resort that stash. And I do it every 2 or 3 years. I will actually go through and have a decent look. Desperately overdue to do that now, as you forget what's in there. I'm not a catalogue moustache person. I'm not like Ethan, who has all his stash sorted cards. He knows exactly where things are at. He assigns projects to it. Ethan from getflocked.co.nz. I'm not that person. Never going to be that person. But I do put stuff together. I have sometimes been known to have purchased yarn for a specific purpose, and I will print out a copy of a pattern and put it in a bag with that yarn. So then if I come across it, I go, that's why I bought that yarn. I have been known to do that, but that's infrequent. So the very patient team, I got the dog and bone and said, right, Marie, you need to come and pick up. We've got the last of all your bits and pieces, including 12 cartons of books and patterns, because of course I forgot my entire knit book library, which was pretty substantial. I had moved into the Skeins shop, and I did that when we moved to the Taradale Road store, because we had room. And then we got a bookshelf. And I thought, and everyone's like, we haven't got any books to put on it. And I went, I've got books to put on it. And of course, then they grew because then when you have a bookshelf, you've got to fill it up. So then I would buy books, and then would be given books, and before you knew it, this sucker is full, and you've got 12 cartons of these things coming home. So the books all came home. And there was everything from like little leaflet books, pattern books, the Claire Keatons, the Paytons, etc., through to hard copy or soft copy current books. So over the weekend, my job for several hours, podcasts on, listening to work, doing day job work, listening and sorting. And I went through all these entire 12 cartons, all the books, pulled them all out on my outside table. Huge, I've got 2 big tables out there, laid them all out and did that really difficult thing where you had to sort them and go, okay, what do I want to keep and what do I want to go and what am I prepared to sell? And to be fair, there's even a few in there that may still go in the sell pile. So I then created 3 distinct groups. One's is the keep pile, one was the sell pile, and the third pile was actually the giveaway at Mid August Nights pile, which was a surprisingly large pile. And a lot of those books were donated as in the first place. So if you are, coming to Cannes, there is going to be lots of free patterns and books available. You're going to be getting them in your goodie bag. So a lot of those other little pattern leaflets and books and bits and bobs, a whole heap of those. I had salvage magazines. I had, what else? I had so much. So I've got 1 entire box, which is going in the goodie bag. So that's freebies that you can have. And you can trade them off amongst yourselves. Do whatever you like them. Redonate them. I don't mind. Light the fire with them. I don't care. Then I've got a big pile that was about of books to donate. You can just have. You can just take. I'm just going to have them on a table and it'll be help yourself. So that's going to be there. And if there is still some left at the free market on Sunday, open to the public for free, fill your boots. Come and grab them. Then I've got the ones to sell, and there's some really smart titles there. Some of them I had double ups of titles, actually, funnily enough. Some had been, so there's a whole bit, and they are going to be going out for basically between, I think I'm probably going to price them between like $2 and $5, $1, $2 and $5, and that's it. That's nothing more than $5. That's going to be the most expensive book that's available. And then I had a small pile that I've kept, and I've kept about two piles about that big. One of them is a whole series from an Australian designer, actually, just like her style ethos, even though a lot of the sizings don't fit, but the style ethos is good. It's classic. It fits with the lifestyle that I have here, and I just know that I can take from that and modify and make things. So that's why I've kept that. Then there are other classics, things like Knitting on Top of the World, Nikki Epstein, Edges, Nikki Epstein, Principles in Knitting, June Hemmel's Hyatt, things like that. One does not depart with, the Knitter's Almanac, Elizabeth Zimmerman, there are things that are just sacred. Those I've kept, but the rest. So if you're coming to Cannes and you need to bolster your library, there's the time. So that will be happening. Where was I going with all of this before I got distracted? Oh, right, in the boxes. So I had the 12 boxes of books, and also with that was 2 or 3 cartons of just other little bits and bobs. I had some spinning bits that I'd left, like bobbins and swifts and stuff, and in there too was more yarn that I'd had stashed in some of the furniture and cupboards. Then I forgot that I put it there. I thought I'd gotten it all, but no. No, Claire found more. And one of them was actually one lot of the yarn was yarn that I took to the United States in 2020 when I went up to catch up with Stephen B, and I worked with him at Stitches West in California. And as part of Stitches West, and if you went to Stitches West in 2020 before the world went to hell in a handcart, I did a series of presentations, central sort of impromptu on the trading floor presentations that they had. And I did, I think, 4 or 5 of them around yarn construction, yarn manufacture of fibres and the like. They were heaps of fun. Really, really enjoyed them. They were kind of like little, I think they were half hour long or 20 minutes, half an hour long, these little sort of educational snapshots that heaps of fun. And I had a couple of I took up these bags. If you ever buy curtains or duvets or anything like this, you must keep these bags with the zips. Best stash storage bags ever. So I took up a couple of these with a whole huge variety of yarns in them to actually showcase different examples of yarns. So they came home, plus a whole bunch of different bits and bobs. So what I have done, and I think I showed it to you the other week, I'd been doing the slippers. That was my first Get My Mojo Back project. So I'd started compiling a slipper bag, and here it is here. Ignore the scrunchy scrunch. So that's all felted. There we go. Look, it even says on the front there, felted slippers. So that I'd compiled that bag, and then I found that thread waste from the original run of Chatswood, again, a recycled standard wool blend. This green is a great colour for these tessellations. So I'd had all those compiled, and it was actually in one of those bags that I found my black. Then I took these, I had two of these big sample bags. So I grabbed these, and then all of a sudden, because they were all single balls and part balls of things and samples and things that I was showing off and all the rest of it, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff. So I did a big sort, put things together, put stuff like with like that I'd be able to work with in the future. But then I had loads of these sort of little weird unicorny. See, there you go. There's the purple from here. That's where that came from. There's the that's the remainder of that cove ball. So, I mean, I could actually, if I really wanted to, do another pair of mitts with that. So I had all these weird things. There's a bottle of, there you go, there's a ball of vintage in there. What else? There's, look, there's a big white gum in there. Look, that one there's that's an original sample ball of silver lining. That's a perium, I think. All these crazy, there we go, a couple of, that one's a Chatswood, another Chatswood. Crazy things, all sorts. And I suddenly thought, it's my felted slipper pattern. I suddenly thought, well, actually, that one there actually is the, where we're going there. That's that, left over of that. I suddenly thought, well, actually, these are all hats, cows, because you need colour and you need contrast to colour. So what I am saying, in the very long-winded way of things with finding your mojo, is you don't have to have large quantities of yarn to do complete projects in order to have your yarn fix and your knitting fix and your mojo rejuvenated. Sometimes that rejuvenation comes in the joy of taking all the little bits and bobs, the leftovers from projects already completed, and actually taking those leftovers and turning them into something quite amazing. And if you go, as I said before, the cowl, the precursor version to this, are all free. You just go to my Ravelry design page and just download them for free. I may write these mitts up yet. I haven't. I mean, literally, I just made these up on the fly. But there's loads of patterns that I have there which you could modify to be able to do these. In that bag, and I'm just going to show you this because this is going to be one of probably the next hats that I will do, and I may even do a cowl and a hat if I get enough. So one of the things I found was this ball of Zalana Remu, which, if anyone knows Zalana yarns, high possum content, woolen spun, utterly delicious. And I thought, oh, this is that's a very spendy ball of yarn. Beautiful yarn, bright colour. Then next to it, sitting in the bag, was that, which if anyone recognises that is Kelly & Co. Our tweed. Again, another woolen spun yarn. It is a slightly heavier weight, but, it's a hat or cow, potato. And that's what I had left over from the project. I did both a sweater for my husband and a cardigan for me in it. And that was all that was remaining from that. And I thought, oh, there's definitely enough for a hat there. And then the third yarn that I had was this one here, which again came out of that sample bag. It was one that I took to Australia. Took to the United States. It is Australian made, this one. This one is from the Great Ocean Road Woolen Mill. Again, woolen spun. Utterly divine. And I love it because it's quite rustic. It's got that whole, it's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to give you this comforting, homely feel. And I met Nick at Tarnduan Court in Victoria when I took the Cannes cruise there in 2019, and I got this off Nick then. And I just saw those three together. I know, right? I mean, it's like, as Forrest Gump would say, it's like peas and carrots. They just work because they all have a bit of texture. They're fantastic. So this will probably be my next hat. Will have leftovers of these, probably not of this, but that's okay. Then I'll introduce a third colour, possibly that chocolate silver lining merino would be a great one to add into that. Use it, make it your own. And it doesn't matter if you rinse and repeating the same patterns again and again and again and again, because part of the joy of getting your mojo back is like, how do I make it different? As you can see, this is so different to the effect with this. And you saw the brightly coloured one. I mean, I'm loving just bouncing around and playing around with colours and textures. This is where you need to unleash your inner mojo and let it come out to play. I think sometimes we allow ourselves to be too confined by the rules as we perceive them, and we need to break those rules and just let our little knit freak fly. And, and for me, it's playing around with these colours and textures and using up all of these wonderful bits and pieces. And I'll do this big project, but I will probably do a jam because I'm going to be traveling around quite a bit with a day job over the next couple of months. So I'll only want small projects to travel with me that are easy for planes and automobiles. And these cowls and hats are ideal for that. So then that way I'll just knit a whole heap, and there you go, people. There's your Christmas knitting sorted. Easy. I'd be chuffed. My next two are going to do is for my son and his roommate. It's fun. It is fun. Whew, gosh, it's just lots of rambling. So I just want to remind you of a few things. Knit August Nights, you can still register. knitaugustnights.co.nz. Very final weekend in August. So 28th through 31st of August are the magical dates. Air New Zealand have flights on sale at the moment. So if you're around the country, you're procrastinating, you're not sure, you can get here cheaper flying than you probably can driving if you're coming especially from the South Island. So let your fingers do the walk and get onto that ASAP for the next couple of days and book those flights. Just make it happen, people. If you've loved the Sable Society, share it. If you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this over on Facebook, and share it amongst your friends, show them off the Sable Society, or come over to YouTube and subscribe. It all just helps me get things growing. If you're listening, this is going further afield now. If you're listening elsewhere, thanks for joining me, and welcome along to the Sable Society and the insanity that is thoughts from my rambling knitting brain. I do appreciate the time that you've taken to join me today, and I will do this all again very soon. And remember, if you want to download any of the patterns that I have created, especially these Harding Road cowl, the hat, I have a whole Ever After collection. The best news is I give everything away. I don't charge for any of the patterns that I create. For me, that's all part of the stitch journey and the paying it forward to everybody. So if you're wanting something, head on over there, download it and enjoy. But for now, thank you for joining me today. I'm Marie Buskey. This is the Sable Society, and I will see you again very, very soon. Take care.